Hello guys, welcome back to another video today with AIC Exotics, and in this video we're going to be telling you about our new reptiles. Now yes, we've got more reptiles, and at the minute everything is a little bit all over the place because of the new reptile room, but like I say, they were on the floor and they're now on a unit in the new reptile room, so we're going to run through that. I'm going to give you a little update on how that is coming along and the progress that we're making there. And we're basically going to be talking about our new reptiles. Now you might have seen these already over at Instagram. Now if you have got me on there or you follow me on there, then you definitely have seen them. Not sure how this video will turn out because they're pretty hard to get footage of, and they are nocturnal, or at least they're not diurnal anyway, so they're going to be a little bit tricky to get footage of. But these are mourning geckos. Now in the UK, I think it depends on where you're from, but in the UK, but they seem really hard to get hold of for me, and this is something that's been on my list for ages and I've never ever been able to get any, and whenever they come up they seem to go instantly. So you've got to be in the right place at the right time to catch them. Now I've never had the opportunity to actually have them, and I've heard they're really inexpensive, they're really easy to care for, feeding is easy, especially if you've got other reptiles like ourselves, and I've just never been able to get any. I don't know how it is in the US and how sort of popular they are, and obviously they lay eggs quite often. We'll be going into that later about how they lay them and why and stuff like that. But basically, yeah, I've never been able to get hold of them, and I've finally been able to get some. Now we've got ourselves 2 adults and 1 juvenile or baby. The baby is still quite small, so he's in a DIY mantis setup because I don't want to lose him in the Exoterra. Now we did have him in a different setup and it wasn't an Exoterra, and there was just too many escapes. And it really scared me. I didn't want them to get out and lose them and stuff like that. So yeah, they're now in an Exoterra. So we've got 2 adults by themselves, and then we have the little one who is someone named Dylan. So the little one is now called Dylan. Don't ask me why. And now we've got 2 others in the big tank, and then little Dylan in the separate tank. So we're just going to be running through their setup and everything they need. And if you want to get some, then you'll know just what you need. So stay tuned for this video. Let's go. So guys, here we have it. This is our mourning gecko setup, and now what we're going to be doing is basically giving you a little run through. Now these have been moved into the other room and it is coming on nicely. There is stuff getting done, progress being made, but it's still slow progress. But these guys are in anyway, and we're basically going to be running you through the setup of how we've got these kept. Now they were in this setup here, which is fine for mourning geckos, but some of the holes, as you can see there, if it will focus, that is just way too risky when you're keeping mourning geckos. Now I know a lot of people that they get out in a good tank like this, let alone a tank like that. So basically they're in here for that reason, and we didn't really want to get an Exoterra, but we've ended up getting one for them. But what we've got as lighting is the Arcadia UVB. Now this is beneficial because it acts as a light for us to see them, and UVB for them. Even though you don't see them much during the day, that doesn't matter, because if they're a little bit exposed to it, then they'll still get it. So one of the guys is up here, not that you can see him, but he's in the slit of that bit there, but you'll never be able to see him. Now we got this Exoterra for a good price because, believe it or not, this is one of the old models. Now not that it matters too much, but the price affected it quite a lot. Being one of the old models, it has the old hinges here instead of the twist ones. These are the clip-in ones, but again, it makes no difference. So what we've got is obviously the old background as well, but again, it's no different, so it doesn't really matter. So we've got the UVB as a light and to benefit them. Now what we've done to stop them going behind the backboard, as you can see there's a little nail through the mesh. Now that little nail has more mesh underneath it, going all the way across the back, and then tucked over here with more mesh overlapping, as you can see there. So when you actually go into the tank itself, in that little corner up there, if it will focus, all of that there you go, you can just about see it, has nails and mesh going all the way across it. So there's no possible way for these guys to get underneath their background or behind the backboard, so we can't lose them. So basically going from the bottom upwards, we're using Arcadia Earth Mix because you know I love it. These little vents here, I'm not worried about escapes because on the inside the vents are a lot smaller, so it doesn't really matter. I don't want the little guy to escape from the top bit there, but the vents are much smaller, as you can see there, so there's going to be no trouble for them escaping. Now if you can look in this corner here, already we have an egg. Now the younger one laid one, but it just didn't go very well. It was laid on the floor. It was the first day of them being home and they were just unsettled, so yeah, that went a little bit soft and stodgy. But the bigger female laid this, so what we're going to do is leave it in there and keep an eye on it, and within about 8 to 12 weeks hopefully we'll have some more babies. So we're going to leave that there. Now when they do lay eggs, you don't want to try and get them out, because after about an hour of them being laid, they stick to whatever surface they've been laid on. So if I tried to remove it from that vine, it would just be torn and ripped and damaged, and the egg would never actually end up hatching. So he's laid them in quite a little spot there that I can't get to them anyway, so we're going to leave them, just keep an eye on them. If they are against the glass, then you can use something like a little fat worm tub and put that over it to stop them going into here, but hopefully they shouldn't escape. So other than that, we've got the Arcadia bottom, we've got a little bit of slate for them to hold on to. Now this is from one of the free samples that the company send you when you're trialling for slate, so you can just apply anywhere and get one of them. We've got a cork round at the back there with loads of holes in for them and a few rocks, more cork bark, a big piece of the driftwood going across, with a few little bits of bamboo because they are small enough to climb across them. We have a feeding ledge with water in, because you guys know I go on about it, they still need a water bowl, so make sure you add a water bowl to yours. And some mealworms there in case they want any, but they haven't seemed to be too keen on them. Now yes, I know, as you can see, there is plastic plants in here. That is obviously subject to change. We don't really run with the plastic plants no more, so once they're settled and sort of just adjusted a bit and the eggs have hatched, we'll probably be going bioactive on this, because it will be much worth it. And obviously seeing them in here just, you know, doing their own thing in a bioactive setup would be much better, so that will be changing. And other than that, that is basically the setup. We have a water bowl ledge here, which I've actually flipped upside down because they can actually go underneath it there, which they quite like to feel secure because that leaf covers it. So they go under that quite a bit. And sometimes I put their food on here, and it's nice and soft and nice flat surface for them. Now as far as food, that is what we're going to get into next. Now with food, there is a few different options. Basically we're going to start from the live form first. So these are fruit flies. Obviously a lot of people have these for smaller stuff like dart frogs, etc, etc, but these are perfectly fine for your mourning geckos, especially your babies. And yes, I did mention that we had a baby, and I will be talking about him in a minute because he is just over there. So basically fruit flies are a really good source of protein for your mourning geckos. It's really important to give them these as well because it is live food. It gets them moving, it gets them active, it gets them hunting, and that is exactly what you want. Obviously a tub like this, you get quite a few in, as you can see if I tap them to the bottom there and it focuses. There is quite a few there, as you can see. Now that is plenty. Obviously I use them for my mantises as well, so I definitely get the £3.80 worth out of these. So that is number one. Number two are your dried forms, now, or like powdered forms, depends sort of what you call them. Now what we use, the three main things, we don't tend to use the rapashi too much, but the Pangea they love. This papaya one they are quite a big fan of, as is a few other things like the crested gecko and stuff like that. And obviously mix it with water, give it a little stir, consistency, and there you go. Apricot is the same. Obviously this as well, if you put this in along with the fruit flies, then the fruit flies actually end up eating this. So when your gecko is looking for food, it's going to be double as easy for him, because if he smells this and goes to it,
he'll also bump into some fruit flies, so it's a win-win scenario for your gecko. So the more you feed this, that'll attract the fruit flies, and yeah. Now this one I haven't used until the other week. I bought it just on the off chance because I've only ever heard good things about it. Now you guys know I love my Arcadia stuff, Stick Your Foot Gold. Now out of all three of these, I've only had the mourning geckos for about a week, and out of all three of these, this is the only one I've seen them eat. Doesn't mean they haven't ate the Pangea, but the only one I've actually seen them eat is the Stick Your Foot Gold. Obviously we went through this in the isopod video as well. You can give this to a lot of stuff, but yeah, this has obviously got a really good blend compared to obviously the other stuff which has, but it's not broken down as well compared to this, hence why I like Arcadia, because you know what you're buying. So that's got a really good blend there. You're more than welcome to pause it and read it, but yeah, that seems to be really good stuff for them. So other than that, you've got your dried food and your fruit flies, and that basically covers the food. Now as you guys can see, this is all I have the baby in. Now I didn't realise when the person that sold them to me said about the baby, I did not realise how small it would actually be. Now all I've done is cut a hole in a sandwich tub, put some mesh over it. I've not glued it because it's just easier. So every time you want to take off the lid, just lay the mesh over first and then put the tub over. But he has a little bowl of some mixed powders there, and he is somewhere in here, not that you'd be able to see him very well. Now I can actually take this off. This is when he runs out and I lose him. But like I say, this is a pretty easy setup. All you've got to do is just take off the lid, and then you've got the mesh, and take off the mesh. Now he's actually down in that far corner. You probably won't be able to see him. Down there somewhere. But as far as setup goes for these guys, again, a little bit of Arcadia in the bottom, and then you want a little pot for some powdered food like Pangea or Sticky Foot Gold, whatever it is. Mix that up, put it on the bottom for them so they can find it. The thinner the pot the better as well. A few bits of garden bamboo, just, you know, general bamboo from your local garden centre, and that will be sorted. And a little bit of like sort of, you know, something from to hide in, like a little set of leaves. I've just ripped that off another big set of leaves, and a little bit of moss at the bottom. And that basically covers your babies if you need any to be set up in a little tub like this. Now, as you mourning gecko keepers probably know, this video has taken a few days to get footage of, because when these guys are in a bit of a bigger setup, you don't really see them much, and then once you do see them, the time you grab a camera, they are gone again. But the camera's not focusing. There we go, and this is our biggest one. There you go, who's laid the eggs. Now he always sits up there. And as you can see, he's a decent size. When you sort of zoom in away from the tank, you can sort of see the size of him. Not mega big, but you know, for a mourning gecko, decent size. But other than that, I'll try and get some night footage of him tonight and see how I get on. We'll have to see how we do. But anyway, that is the big guy there. And like I say, I'll try and get the smaller one, but I doubt that'll be possible. But yeah, this is one of them. And just like I said earlier, as you can see here, he's currently sitting on top of that mesh. So if he did want to go down the cable runners, down the back of the Exoterra, he wouldn't be able to. And there you go, you can see he's kind of trying to figure out all the tight little gaps. This is where he just vanishes in front of me. But he knows where he can and can't go, and that is about as far up he can get. And again, that is a perfect example there of why we have the mesh, because it prevents him from going down underneath the background and never been able to see him or get him out. So as you guys can see, this is the smaller one, who is only slightly smaller. You can't really notice him too much, but I got a little bit of a better shot with him on the ledge. I keep saying him when really there's not a certain sex to him, but this is just to show you what we have as a new reptile. But we will be doing a lot of videos on these guys in the future to discuss more about their genetics and how they breed and stuff like that. So if that has covered everything, if you have any questions below, make sure you leave them and let me know.
So guys, that basically covers it for this video. Like I say, this video was mainly just about telling you guys that we have a new reptile. It wasn't actually about talking about the mourning gecko specifically. We'll be going into that in a lot of videos in the future because they're actually really interesting. The whole genetics, the female, male, how they breed, egg laying, there is loads to cover, and they're so inexpensive to keep, so inexpensive to just house and feed, stuff like that. So I think it's just a massive plus for anyone who is into reptiles and wants to add them into their into their reptile room or into their their collection. So yeah, other than that, if you have any questions about them already, then let me know and we'll cover them in the videos we're going to be making on them. But other than that, like I say, anything else, let me know and we will answer you back straight away. Thank you guys for watching and stay tuned for another video very soon.